Cars 3 is one of the most confusing Pixar movies ever made. The movie itself is fine. The problem is it spends almost its entire runtime pretending to be one movie, then reveals it's a completely different one in the final minutes. Like Pixar looked you dead in the eye for an hour and a half and said, "This is a comeback story," then in the last 10 minutes went, "Just kidding." For most of the film, you think you're watching Lightning McQueen claw his way back to the top. Then the final race happens, and suddenly, you realize it was never really about McQueen at all. It was about Cruz Ramirez the whole time, and honestly, that's the most mature thing this franchise has ever done. But Pixar hit it so well that when it finally arrived, it felt like a twist instead of something that was always coming. And that's the problem. There's actually a deleted scene that changes everything, and once you see it, you'll genuinely question why Pixar made the choices they did. Stay with me now, but before we get there, we really need to talk about how Pixar already pulled this same exact move once before, because Cars 2 exists, and Cars 2 is a whole conversation. Cars 2 took Mater, who was known for comic relief, and decided he was the main character. Meanwhile, Lightning McQueen is technically still racing in the World Grand Prix, but honestly, he felt like background noise. Like he showed up to his own movie and nobody told him he was no longer the star. That wasn't an accident. John Lasseter, who directed Cars 2, put the focus on Mater specifically because Mater was the breakout character from the merchandise line and shorts. He wanted to give kids their favorite character. The problem is that in trying to serve that audience, he sidelined the character the movie was actually supposed to be about. The writer Keel Murray said it plainly in an interview. The first movie was about McQueen, and the second movie was a sort of off-ramp to the Mater story. We wanted to get back to the McQueen story. Director Brian Fee was even more direct, saying that the mentorship story and getting back to McQueen was the heart of everything from the start. So, Cars 3 was already starting from an apology before it even began. So, when Cars 3 then starts shifting its focus away from McQueen and toward Cruz, it sets off alarm bells immediately. The training scenes are really about her confidence. The emotional breakthrough moments belong to her. Even the final race ends up being her story. And the moment you feel that happening, you can almost feel the audience bracing for Cars 2 all over again. Another movie, another character Pixar decided to matter more than McQueen, another audience they decided to chase. That's exactly why the deleted ending matters so much, because the real question was never just which version of the ending is better, it's whether Cars 3 was actually about McQueen finally getting to finish his own story, or whether Pixar replaced him again and just did it more gracefully this time. Now, let me walk you through the plot because there are some very specific weaknesses that need to be addressed that the deleted scene would have definitely solved. The movie opens with McQueen at the absolute top of his game. 7-time Piston Cup champion, a living legend. Then Jackson Storm shows up and the whole thing falls apart. Storm is fast, like really fast. He makes McQueen look slow in a way nobody ever has before. The idea is that Storm represents a younger generation that doesn't respect what came before. Fine in theory, terrible in execution because without any real menace or personal stakes, Storm is just a very fast screensaver. All surface, no substance. Compare that to Chick Hicks from the original Cars. Chick was dirty and personal. He was the kind of competitor who would destroy someone else's career just to stand on a podium. You hated him because he felt real. Storm just makes McQueen feel old. And that's a massive missed opportunity because a properly developed Storm would have made the film's plot sharper and the deleted ending were getting so much more painful. Then there's Sterling, McQueen's new sponsor, who buys Rusty's and immediately starts treating McQueen like a brand rather than a racer. Sterling is supposed to feel threatening, but he ends up being more irritating than actually scary. Let's move on to one of my favorite parts. Nathan Fillion basically admitted Sterling was never designed to be a real villain. He told Den of Geek he's the new kinda Elon Musk sorta CEO that we're seeing now. Sterling is there to protect his investment. He's a businessman. And to comic book, at his heart, he wants to protect his investment, which is Lightning McQueen. He wants to protect that brand. Not evil, just focused on the bottom line, and that's exactly what makes Sterling so frustrating to watch. You've seen this character in every sports movie ever made. The suit who looks at a legend and sees nothing but an expiring contract. He has no edge, he has no menace, he has no reason to make you feel anything except mild irritation. So, you've got a main antagonist who barely shows up, and a secondary one designed not to be a villain. And that leaves a massive emotional hole in the middle of this movie. The pressure on McQueen never feels real. The threat is always theoretical, and that matters because the deleted scene is literally Pixar putting that pressure back in. Sterling finally becoming what he was always signaling toward being. But we'll get there. What fills that emotional hole in the actual movie is Doc Hudson, and this is honestly where Cars 3 gets everything completely right. The Doc Hudson flashbacks hit different. Pixar used actual unused recordings of Paul Newman, who passed away in 2008, and Brian Fee told Animation Scoop it was incredibly haunting. He said they tried to sound alike and it just didn't work. There was no replacement for Paul Newman, and the reason Fee cared so much about these scenes is personal. He told, as the bunny hops, that his mother had passed away, and he felt that moment where the safety net you've always had starts dropping. But he also had 2 daughters and realized he was their safety net. He said that erased the fear, and that's the emotion he wanted McQueen to feel. That you may think you're losing something, but the best thing is still in front of you. Every time McQueen remembers Doc, you feel that weight. You feel McQueen's absolute terror of the ending in the same way Doc did. Forced out of the thing he loved without getting to choose when it ended. Those flashbacks carry more emotional weight than anything Storm or Sterling ever did, and the movie really did make you believe the comeback was coming. After his crash, McQueen tracks down Smokey, Doc Hudson's old mentor, and crew chief in Thomasville. Those dirt track training sessions with legends like Junior Moon and River Scott feel exactly like what a comeback story's supposed to look like. Old school wisdom beating new school technology. You're sitting there thinking, okay, this is it. This is the moment he figures out how to beat Storm. Then, Queen has that breakthrough where he realized smarter racing beats raw speed every single time. That realization lands like a confirmation, like the movie itself is telling you directly that he's cracked the code. So, when the Florida 500 arrives, McQueen lines up on the grid and actually starts racing. He's pushing through the field, holding his own against the next generation racers. He briefly leads. At that point, the comeback felt completely real. You're locked in. You genuinely believe this is happening.
Got it, Smokey. I gotta go all the way.
And then, mid-race, he just pulls over. Calls Cruz in, hands her his number, and tells her to finish it. Huh? I mean, it makes sense when you sit with it. But in that moment, I was genuinely shocked. Because the movie spent almost its entire runtime building one story and then switched it in the final minutes. Moving on, even Brian Fee admits the real story almost didn't make it into the film. He told Collider, while the mentorship was on a pedestal from the very start, it started to be pushed down to a subplot level. We leaned into the other things for a while just to test it out, but the mentor story just kept creeping back, and by the end, the mentor story was right back at the heart of everything. He told Slash Film they tried literally every possible ending. McQueen winning alone, McQueen and Cruz both racing, Cruz racing from the very beginning with McQueen never taking a single lap. He said that last version felt like the movie was over before the race even started. Multiple versions, multiple years. That's a team that was figuring out what their movie was actually about while they were making it. And that uncertainty is exactly why the deleted version deserves so much more credit than it gets. In the deleted scene, Sterling doesn't give McQueen a choice. He pulls up performance data secretly collected through tracking chips placed on both McQueen and Cruz during training. He strips off the 95 decals and tells McQueen he's off the entry list. Just like that, a legend reduced to a losing statistic by someone who never understood what made him great in the first place. McQueen has to stand there and watch Cruz take his spot. That's devastating in a way the final movie never quite reaches. Because, in the theatrical version, McQueen chooses to stop, and that's a noble moment, but nobility is comfortable. The deleted scene's uncomfortable. It forces McQueen to hit absolute rock bottom before Tex Dinoco steps in and gives him back his dignity. And that rock bottom makes everything that follows feel so much harder earned. Imagine you're working your whole life for something, winning 7 championships, becoming a legend, and then one day some guy in a suit pulls up a spreadsheet, rips your number off your car, and tells you you're done. That's what the deleted scene does to McQueen, And that's exactly what makes it hit so much harder than the theatrical version. Watching someone get stripped of everything they earned is sad and infuriating at the same time. And that feeling of anger is what Cars 3 needed more of. Sterling finally starts feeling like someone McQueen actually needs to overcome. That is the movie this should have been. And the fact that McQueen then finds a way to support Cruz anyway, despite being humiliated by the very person who was supposed to have his back, that's a genuinely powerful character moment. The feeling of being more proud of helping someone else than anything you ever did yourself. That's a beautiful intention, but beautiful intentions need raw storytelling to actually land. And that deleted version is the raw version. It earns the emotional payoff at the end because it forces you to sit with the loss first. Sometimes the dark version of a story is the braver one, and Pixar blinked. The final movie is good, but it's the safer version of something that could have been genuinely great. The deleted version doesn't just change how the movie ends, it changes how you would feel watching the whole thing knowing that betrayal's coming.